Number 1, Warlords isn't shit. Unlike Mop. Danger Dolan. Alright, so bag sorting is actually really useful. Thank you, God.
Really? I found that pain in the ass.
Really?
Yeah. I'm one of these people who refuse to get a bag add-on. And I just end up sorting stuff manually because I get anal.
I was actually doing that at the start of this expansion, and then I started using the bag sorting feature more often, and I realized, like, wow, it's sorting all my fish into this bag, all my gear into this bag. This is actually kind of good. I wish they'd give us more options.
You're gonna make me do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have to try that now. I'm gonna have to try it. I might have a change of mind. You never know. In another video, I'll give you an update on that on a future vid. I'm loving the fact that leveling is now relevant once more and actually feels an intrinsical part of the game.
Me too.
Yeah. But leveling for the last 2 expansions has just been so irrelevant. It's just been absolutely irrelevant. It's acted as nothing but a device from the to get from point A to point B. And it just meant and felt nothing.
Yeah.
But now, we're going 10 levels again. Might not be going any quicker than before. Might be the same kind of time. But I just felt there's great specific storylines that are setting stuff up for future content. So it's made it very relevant. Especially with like the Yrel business with the Alliance and stuff. And I think it's going to be something quite big's going to happen with Durotan, whatever it may be. I think he's got some part to play.
Oh, I haven't actually done the Horde starting area yet, so I don't really know. But that's going to be interesting. I'll have to do that sometime.
Spoilers.
Exactly. Okay.
You, I think.
Dungeons are really great. I would like more, please.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to have to agree with the end bit there. More.
Yeah. Like, challenge modes were really good. It was like a mini raid right up until now, where the gear that it rewards is like LFR quality. Like, I'm not doing a 5-hour...
It's less than LFR quality, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I'm not doing like a 3-hour upper Blackrock Spire run to get gear that's LFR that I could do in 15 minutes. Like that, LFR is, oh, actually not LFR, but just everything that's happened with the raid has just nullified challenge modes. But I would like to see them be relevant.
It's sad but true. But in Blizzard's defense, they actually did state that challenge mode would be harder and actually give less reward than LFR, which at least is something to admit before you do it.
Yep.
At least you don't have to backtrack on it. I am loving the fact that I am now a commander/general in the Horde/Alliance, and I'm not somebody that has to sift through feces every fucking expansion. Even though I have done a quest where I sifted through shit.
Everyone has been the guy that sifted through shit.
Yeah, I don't feel like a grunt anymore. I don't feel like they call you... It's all like when you're working for a company and they just say to you, we're going to promote you to office manager. And you're like, awesome! Do I get a pay rise? And they go, that's the beauty. You don't get a pay rise, but you get more responsibility. And it's sort of like, yeah, wait a minute. It's sort of like that. You've always felt like that in WoW to me. You've got all this responsibility. You're fighting all these huge bosses. And then, you're nothing. You've got nothing to show for it. You haven't even got a hovel in Orgrimmar or Stormwind. But now, you've got this garrison. Not only do you have a big garrison, but the controlling of the followers makes you feel as if you are in command. It does make you feel as if you are that special snowflake of the Horde and Alliance. I think that's brilliant. Brilliant feeling.
It is good. You're walking to Garrison, everyone's like, well, what's up, Holmes? It's like, oh, this is so good.
yeah. Everyone's saluting you, guards saluting you when you're going past and stuff. And I just wish they'd actually given you the titles. So when you got a level 2 Garrison, you became Commander. When you gave you a level 3 Garrison, you became General. But they are quite grandiose titles, I suppose, but they are cool. But I love that. I actually feel important. I feel part of the hierarchy in the factions now.
Okay. I don't have to move while fishing anymore, and I like that.
Don't talk to me about fishing. I've just done the Paggle quest line. It's just awful. You can literally, though, with Warlords, because you can buy certain baits as well, you could literally stay wherever you wanted.
Pretty much.
Put the bait on and fish up exactly what you want to fish up.
If you fish just for like 5 minutes, like I think it's just in your garrison with a level 3 shack, you could pretty much get every bait for every fish and just keep doing it like that and make money that way.
Because if you attach a bait, you're always guaranteed to find that bait again within the 5-minute duration of the bait. Yeah, so you can literally just keep on going and keep on going.
But there's actually no, you probably haven't done the fishing dailies where you gotta get rep up with Nat Pagel and you have?
Yeah.
Oh god, and he asks you for the lunkers.
Yeah, it's just gone up on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't know.
This recording happened then.
I don't know if like you did it in MOP or something, but in Warlords it is ridiculous. Like you're going to be fishing from now until the next expansion, and you may not even get enough rep to get the stuff that you want. That is
in all
nuts.
fairness, though, that is kind of a general theme with a few things in Warlords, which I'm sure will come up for discussion in later videos. But that same sort of mentality can be attached to many different things. For example, professions, gearing, stuff like that. And I think there's going to have to be some tweaks. Because I fished for 2 hours once I got Nat in my garrison. And I got 5 lunkers in 2 hours. And literally the 5th lunker would be on the tick of the 2-hour mark.
I know.
And it's really weird, though, because when the first half hour, no lunkers. The second half hour, 4. And then an hour... And literally on the 60th minute, I got a 5th lunker. It's just, it's awful.
Yeah, man, it's random. Like I was fishing just before, and I got, I think I got 3 stacks of 200, so about 600 fish, and I had 3 lunkers, and then all at once, just 2 lunkers out of nowhere, and that was it. I was done. Like, awesome, great.
Yeah, I counted the fish that I did. I actually, because I was doing the fire ammonites outside the front of the Horde garrison. I fished up 3. I've actually got it written down here because I've just done a fishing vid. 387 enormous fire ammonites and 167 of the. Is it the crescent fish?
Yeah.
Crescent fish. I got those in the time that it took me to find the 5 ammonites. The 5 lunkers, actually. Ammonite lunkers. Horrible. That was horrible.
They just need to add something to the fishing to make it more, not clicking a thing constantly.
I'd love to know how many people actually fish. What percentage of people fish? I reckon it'd be so low.
I reckon
it'd be so low because it just doesn't feel rewarding enough.
No, it's not. It's totally not. And the fish on my server, 200 stack of flesh from any fish gives you less than 100 gold. Like, who would willingly sit there and fish, actually fish, for hours on end to get 100 gold?
To make money. It's not even a money maker. I sold a stack of 200 enormous fire ammonites for 330 gold. It's just depressing. That would have made, I don't know how many flesh, probably about 800 flesh, probably, I don't know. But it made an awful lot of flesh, and it's just that's 2 hours of my life for 300 gold. I could run Firelands 25 heroic, be done in half an hour, and walk out with about 3k.
Yep.
It's just you bastards. But yeah, fishing is just so unrewarding, and Paggle's rewards for his lucky charms, his gold coins, whatever he wants to call them, I don't care. Some way to entice you to touch him. Just aren't enough, because the best thing that you could get is just a reskin of the Azure Water Strider, which virtually everyone's got anyway. So it's just how is that? The only way they could have made that a little bit more relevant is to make the Azure Water Strider Pandaria only, which I think they should have done. Yeah, and so you can't just walk across water in Draenor. You have to, gather the amount that's going to allow you to do that. But
maybe they just don't expect anyone to sit there willingly for hours fishing and to get, the RNG equivalent of crap. And
I know, but was it? He sells, I think, 5. Is it 5 things he sells? He sells his hat for 25 coins. He sells his fishing rod, a savage fishing rod, 25 coins.
Yep.
The pet for 50 coins. The mount for 100 coins. And the account-bound fishing tome for 25. Who in the right mind is going to make another character go through the hell of leveling up fishing? It's crazy.
And you're right.
It's like, Blizzard, stop it. One person, you could have 50 characters. You could max out all your characters in WoW. Guarantee you, everyone that's got 50 characters, only one of those mother truckers does fishing. No, you're never going to touch it on other characters. Account-bound fishing. No.
I think it was your turn. We talked about fishing for so long.
Fish, I know. man, we killed that fishing.
It could be in a video on itself.
That's the relevant stuff that people want to hear in Warlords of Draenor is fishing. I'm loving a personal return to raiding. I loved the beta so much of Warlords. I thought it had so many positive things to it that it uplifted me completely about the world of Warcraft. I hated Myth so much, and I was so depressed and I was so down in the dumps about a game that I loved. And a lot of people would always criticise me and say, "If you don't like it, why aren't you playing it?" It's like, fuck off. And it's because I love the game, and it's just, I love WoW. It's just Myth was so bad, it was just puts you in that kind of mode.
I know.
So when I was doing the beta for Warlords and I was realising there was a lot of potential here, didn't get everything right, but there's a lot of great potential here, it gave me that huge lift, and it was great to see the huge numbers of people go back to WoW. Suddenly sub numbers jumped to 10 mil. It'd be interesting to see where they are next quarter, but I think it'll still be there or thereabouts. I think it's had a very positive reaction. But it's because I got that uplift myself, I was personally buoyed by it all. It gave me the impetus to go out and get in a raiding guild, and currently raiding. We've knocked out 7 in normal, 7/7 normal, and 3/7 so far heroic, and I'm absolutely loving every session. So the desire to go back to raiding for me has been immense.
Yeah, same. I got pretty sick of just raiding these random ass Pandaria places for treasure, the treasure or the manted, the treasure, and I got to get the treasure away from the Thunder King, and then the Siege of Orgrimmar, Garrosh has some treasure that he's pouring over himself to get all big and purple. Like, that was it. And I would rather fight enemies that are evil and want to kill us, and I would want to kill them first. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So, incentive.
And I think Highmaul's been such a strong initial showing to the raiding scene in Warlords. No tier gear, getting you limbered up, ready for Blackrock Foundry, and it aesthetically looks bloody brilliant. I love outdoor raids. I don't know what it is, but I love outdoor raids that seem to synchronize with the zone that it's set in.
Totally.
So you when you're in Highmaul, you don't necessarily think I'm in Highmaul. You think I'm in Nagrand.
Yep.
Where Highmaul is, and I really like that kind of feel to it. So I love these open. If you go inside to do this and that, that's cool. But I love the fact that you do plenty of it outside. The boss fights have been really cool. The mechanics of the fights have been really interesting. It's been such a strong start. It's just made me wet my lips for Blackrock. It's just bring on, because I won't be going outside in Blackrock, of course. But it just it's made me very excited for what's to come. It's made me want to go in, not only through heroic raiding, but it's also teas that are desperate to start, trying to do as much mythic as possibly can as well.
Totally. I mean, I when I was looking for a guild, I wasn't looking for like a mythic guild, but if I can find a guild that I can actually do like mythic like in a short amount of time instead of progressing on heroic for 5 years and then finally get to it, it's like, well, I'm burnt out. I totally don't mind, because Highmaul is really cool. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, my design was to find a guild that was going to be good enough to clear heroic content.
Yep.
And if we moved into mythic, even better. And 2 weeks in, and with 3/7 on heroic, with I think we're on to Brackenspore. That next, we've done Tectus, the Butcher, and Kargath. I think it's going to be, there's the Twin Ogrons shouldn't pose too many problems. Brackenspore probably shouldn't pose too many problems on Heroic. So, you're probably already looking at 5 out of 7 within the first couple, 2 or 3 weeks of launch. So that's a great kind of springboard to move then suddenly to doing, Mythic, a couple of bosses on Mythic here, Mythic there. It's just uplifting. So uplifting that the game I've played, invested so much time and effort in, that I love to pieces, is making me feel excited again after 10 years of it being around, which is great. And 7.5, nearly 8 years for me. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally. If you're kind of progressing onto Brackenspore, I'm actually on Brackenspore now. We almost got him down. We got him down to about 10%. But if you're gonna down a boss, you should probably go with Twin Ogron. It's actually easier than Brackenspore, like quite a lot easier.
Yeah. Especially
if the people you have on the flamethrowers don't know what they're doing, then that actually slows down your progress there. But Twin Ogron, as long as you have the right strat, like you'll get it like one shot. We got it like one shot, and that was great. But yeah, it's quite nice to have like a decent guild, and the fact that you have scalable raid sizes. I love scalable raid sizes. Yeah, it is the best.
And also, what we've just been discussing now, rather passively, that we haven't really touched upon, the fact that you can actually choose which bosses you want to do.
Yeah.
Which gives you options. We don't have to do by the numbers. Got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do 1, 3, 4, 2, 5. There's plenty they can do, and I love that as well, because we did Butcher before Tectus, but there's I know a lot of groups are doing Tectus before the Butcher. Because of the enraged timer and the short enraged timer on
it's
that.
It's just a gear check, really.
Yeah. But just the very fact that you can decide which ones you go to as well just makes that wee bit better. Gives you those options if you get stuck on a boss. Because Butcher, I can see a lot of people getting a little bit stuck on Butcher, especially if they're new to raiding. But then they could still go Tectus, they could still do Brackenspore. Got options available.
Okay, so the next thing on my list is pre-made group finder. All you need is a better filter system, and you would be perfect.
Yeah, I've got this as well. This is what, so we're double teaming this one.
Yep.
But I think group finder is vastly improved.
Yes.
For what they've had before.
Yep.
You can't. It's very easy to fault Blizzard with group finder because of how
new it is.
People sort the groups, how people set their preconditions for the groups. Whereas that's not, like in the first week of Warlords of Draenor, I was seeing people saying looking for people heroic dungeons must have 640, and it's just like, you're fucking mad. It's the first week in expansion's life. It's probably, even people that have whizzed off to level 100 in 3 or 4 days or whatever are probably still rocking around the 610 to 620, 2025 mark. And to see, sort of those kind of numbers being bounded up so early on, you're just like, oh, for goodness sake. Or looking for challenge mode, must have Pandaren Gold. That was one of my personal favourites to hate. Just like, what's Pandaren Gold got anything to do with the new dungeons, which everyone is starting to learn right now? Sure, you can have like your tactics of bloodlusting, then dying, and then coming back up, so you got your bloodlust in 2 minutes and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people are doing it purely to get from start to finish to get the 640 gear.
I've actually found that a lot of people that do that kind of stuff, that have those ridiculous prerequisites, are either one guy who's just out of his mind and just wants an easy group to get somewhere, or it's like a guild group. It's like a guild group that is missing like one member, and they just have high requirements because like they want to be like top tier, and they want to just find the one person who knows what they're doing. It's because they're too lazy to check the person's armory to see if they're actually any good, to see if they've done stuff before. It's just like, well, I can't be bothered inspecting each and every individual person, so I'm just gonna ask them to give me some ridiculously impossible achievement and hope that we get someone, and then inevitably they don't, or they do, and then a guildie logs on, and then they invite them, and you feel like an idiot. So
can I add a third option to that?
Yeah.
My third option is that they're really badly geared and they're wanting to be carried.
Yeah, that was my first point. Yeah, like this is the lone guy that just wants to be carried because he is lazy.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. I need people of a high out level because I'm shit. and no. Or the thing is though, if you put it into perspective, it'd be like, I'm looking for people with a high item level because my item level is actually realistic to the amount of time which is passed in this brand new expansion's life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to rag on Blizzard for that, you know, and that kind of gives things like Group Finder a bad rep at times. But the way that they've actually constructed it, and the way that they've broken up into the different subtopics, that you can create groups to go for world bosses, you can create groups to do old content very easily. I know you could do this before people in the comments start going, "Hey, can you always do that?" But it's just so simple now to do that. And it has made it that bit easier. I think it's a big win-win.
Yeah, it's definitely a win. I think they could improve on it in certain areas, like such as with the questing group finder. Like that's always empty. It's because it's not like zone specific. If you did that, you'd probably get a lot more people because then they could look for people in the immediate area for a certain quest they might be doing. Although there are no group quests anymore, so. No, it's not as if anyone's ever going to use the questing group finder unless you do that. Like now's a perfect opportunity to bring back the group stuff because we can do this now. So,
but the irony is, there was actually 2 group quests early on in the Horde leveling, and there's actually the same with the Alliance theoretically, because you could go out and kill certain mobs. But even the group, there are 3-person group quests that you could do at level 90. Easily soloable. Yeah. So if you're going to make it a group quest, make the mob of a sufficient level that it's actually saying, "You try and solo me, I will eat your face." But that's a different. I think that's a totally different debate. But yeah, I think it's more almost kind of like homage, isn't it? Really, these group quests that get put in.
I remember. I think it was Wrath where like the group thing would say recommended size 3 people. Well, obviously I can solo that, and then the recommended group size is 5. Well, I probably need one other person. Like it's always below the threshold that you actually need. It's like this is the recommended group size if you're a mouth breather and you don't know how to play the game. Okay.
Probably work for me then, early does. Because if I saw something, I remember being in Wrath of the Lich King, there was a 5-person quest, and my God, did you need 5 people to do it? I think it was in the cathedral is it Hearthglen or something, New Hearthglen or something like that. One of the cathedral there. I'm sure that was like a 5-person quest to finish that one off. And it was like crazy. It's hard. But yeah, God bless it. So yeah, a group finder I think is an awesome new addition, and it's just the player base that give it a bad rep.
Yep.
So that's cool. I'm going to go for a controversial one here because it's probably going to get some people's backs up. But that's what I do for a living. Lore. I've actually really, although this is the one thing I don't like is that this is an alternate timeline. I would have much rather we have gone back into the original Draenor's past, because then you could still have a fractured timeline where you know, like the Star Trek that we have now, where whatever happened to Kirk did happen because he went off on a separate timeline, and then now you got, you know, the new sexy crew with their sexy stuff doing their new sexy timeline.
Yep.
With lens flare. So you still could have had that. You know, everything that has gone on, you know, the blood was drunk in another, you know, in one timeline. This just fractured off from it. So, you know, everything still happened. Draenor's did still blow up in one instance. But the fact that they've kind of made it alternative reality, kind of like, it just makes me... It makes certain elements of it just feel whatever they do could just be brushed off as a Patrick Duffy in the shower dream in Dallas. You know, it doesn't have any real consequences, is what I'm trying to say. That said, though, I have been loving the stories that they've been giving us.
Yeah, like
loving the stories, loving the characters.
They said, like, straight up, like, we just wanted to be able to go back to somewhere cool like Draenor. Like, that was our thing. We just wanted to do that. We didn't really care about, you know, the whole timelines, you know, making sure it's all good. Like, they just said a million times, we just want to be able to go there and not deal with that crap. And this is the only way we can think of, is just to say it's an alternate reality. And yeah, I agree. Like, I personally don't care about, like, I love the story. I love the characters. I don't care if there's any timeline issues. Like, I've never been nitpicky. As long as it's fun and interesting and doesn't break the game, I'm cool, right? It's fine. So I appreciate that they went back to Draenor, and they brought back so many people that used to play, like, Burning Crusade. Like, they brought back 2 million people. Like, that's nothing to sneeze at. All they had to do was say it's an alternate reality, and we get 2 million people.
Yeah,
and we're good.
They should have just clarified that. There was so much non-clarification on it. They should have just said, when in a BlizzCon, they just said, you know, Warlords of Draenor, you'll be going to an alternative timeline Draenor. That would have just shut everyone up.
It would have been... Oh, imagine this, right? The trailer, the first trailer they show, instead of saying New World Draenor, it says, like, New World Alternate Reality Draenor. That would have been like... everyone would be like, okay, alright, that's cool.
Because actually could have made us go, ooh.
Yeah.
Even more, you know. Alternative timeline Draenor. Ooh. You know, it's just one of those little things, but they just made it so... And there was so much confusion, and there was people putting videos out saying it's an alternative timeline. And people like me at the time that's going, no, this is just our timeline, but, you know, 32 years in the past or whatever it was. And then there was no real clarification till months later. No, and then even now it was still sort of like, you know, just shifted out a little bit quickly. But, you know, why? Dude, just tell us.
I was at BlizzCon and I saw Chris Metzen trying to explain this shit, and the camera wasn't on him when, like, he was trying to explain some of it, and people were asking him, like, what the fuck is this all about? Like, what's with all this timey-wimey shit? And he had, like, the biggest cringe face. Like, he was expecting this, and he thought he could do it. He thought he could explain it, and he couldn't. And he was just like burying his face in his hands, like, oh shit.
What it is, right, is like, there's Draenor, and then there was... No. There was another Draenor. No, there was Outland, and there was...
Wait, I got this.
There's a Draenor. Yeah,
I remember. I was drunk when I mentioned this.
It's coming together, hold on. I'm missing something. There's a portal. There's a portal somewhere.
Red portal. It's a red portal. Yes.
That's it. One of them's green, one of them's red. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm so lost. Yeah, it's just a little... Well, if they just put a little bit more clarification on that, then you wouldn't have probably had all the nerd rage that we had. So yeah, I would have preferred it to be in our current timeline, but just back in the past with a split timeline. That said, the stories have been engaging. The characters have been interesting. Loving Yrel. I think everyone's loving Yrel. Yep. It's great to have a strong female lead now that Jaina's batshit crazy. Yeah. But it's great to have a very strong female lead, and she's had some great lines. She's had some great moments. If you've seen the cutscenes at the end of the zones, and then she gets a great level 100 storyline.
Yeah.
If you're part of the Alliance, I think I don't think the Horde get it, but if you're part of the Alliance, you get it for sure. Don't quote me on that. So yeah, good characters, good lore, interesting stories.
Speaking of Group Finder, thank you for getting rid of LFR. Oh wait, no.
But what they have said about this, I'm gonna rush to Blizzard's defense here. What they have said about this is that they're really hoping that it's not the inception of Group Finder. It's more like the reworking of Group Finder to a real, tangible, usable tool. The reworking of this is actually going to stop people from LFRing and form more pug-orientated groups to tackle normal content, or even heroic content. if they feel up to the task. But now I'm going to contradict myself. You're never going to stop people from doing that if you reward so highly in LFR.
Yep.
That's the massive problem. We talked about, we have talked about in the past, challenge mode rewards. They're giving 640. LFR's giving 640. Challenge mode dungeons taking an hour to do, half an hour or so to do. An LFR, which you get 3 pieces of loot from, not just one. The half hour for 1 piece in challenge mode. The LFR, you're doing 3 bosses in 15 minutes.
Yep.
Which one would you do?
Exactly. Someone in my guild from earlier, said that they scaled up the rewards in challenge modes to be like 650 or something. I said, like, really? Like, is that true? I never got confirmation on that because I haven't done a challenge mode since. Pretty sure it's not true. If it was
I
true,
did a challenge mode a couple of days ago, and we got 640.
Yeah, see, if they had scaled up each challenge mode reward to the next raid tier as it comes out, and keep doing that with each raid, I think people might still do it. If they need a piece, for like a trinket or something that they're missing, they have the option every day if they have the time, if they have no life at all, to just be able to log in and do a challenge mode, and for the slim chance that they might get it, but they have that opportunity instead of pugging in group finder for Highmaul raids or something, and even then they might be locked out with their guild, so they can't do it. It's
the good thing is though, they could do that. It's something that can be fixed. It's something that can be hotfixed. It's something that can be patched. It's not. This is not a set in stone. So at least there is that. Whether it will or not, kill a fish.
Well, they'll see.
But I just hate LFR. I just don't want to even see it in the game.
No, like. This isn't MoP anymore. Like we're past the stage where we need LFR, the tourist mode. Okay, maybe towards the end of the patch or the end of the expansion, you can bring it in to let people who just haven't had enough time to see the whole raid just blaze through it in LFR. And then they can see the content there, or as they're leveling up, they can choose to do LFR to get like super cool rewards as they're leveling up. They get to see the raid and the story, and they can keep leveling, and that's all good. That's all fine. But the reason that they keep putting in this amazing gear into LFR is because if there wasn't any gear rewards, no one would queue up for it. The queue times would be horrendous. That's the only reason that they still have these gear rewards. It's essentially a catch-up mechanism and an end game for casuals, and that's the whole reason they need to keep the gear in the LFR. I'm sure a lot of devs.
It's the destruction of dungeons, and it prevents more dungeons from being made because it takes more time to make more dungeons than it does just to throw everyone into an LFR.
Totally.
Where the content is already created because it's an existing raid. They just have to tweak numbers and throw loot at it. So it saves them a lot of time and effort, which is rather ironic considering when we had lots of dungeons plus the raiding and no LFR, World of Warcraft team was at its smallest. And it also had the highest number of subscribers that it's ever had. So LFR, in my opinion, has got zero to do with maintaining subscribers, although it might now, because they've been they've been fed from the teat. They've been fed from the mother's teat of loot, of easy accessible loot. So now they've created they've created a beast, Frankenstein's monsters, a Frankenstein's monster that they can't control, because if they take LFR out of the game now, they're gonna piss so many of the casual audience off.
Pretty much. I mean, even now they're kind of delaying it as much as they can without pissing people off, but even then it's pissing people off because it's like, the normal and the heroic route, I don't get LFR, I don't have time to go find, I have a family and I have a job, so fuck off.
Don't play an MMORPG then!
Exactly.
Play COD!
Like, I mean, I'm a lot of the time I'm strapped for time, but I still, like, if I really want to do it, I will do it. I will find a good guild and I'll make the time, no matter what.
I do my WoW stuff. I do my live streaming. I do a video a day I've still, I think, over an average of a video a day in the lifetime of my channel, plus the live streams. I still sunk 60 hours into Dragon Age Inquisition. And you know, I still got time because if you want to do something, if you're loving something, you're going to find the time to stick it in. Yeah, I may not have slept. Yes, I might be on the verge of insanity, but I've managed to find, you know, and sink in still 60 hours into Dragon Age Inquisition while doing all my recording, while doing all my editing, while doing all my live streaming, and while doing all my guild stuff as well. So yeah, if you want to do something, you'll find time. It's just a very convenient excuse. A lot of it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
it's the go-to excuse now. Is I haven't got time for this.
Yep.
I brought it up in something I did recently, and the truth of the matter is, if they weren't doing this, they'd be playing something else.
Yep.
You know, they'd be playing the CODs or the Dragon Age or the Halo. Well, you wouldn't be playing Master Chief Collection because that's broken. You know, you'd be fighting Candy Crush, whatever. You'd be finding something else to do gaming-wise with your time. Yeah.
There is a very small minority of people who genuinely could use LFR. So, like, if you're a doctor who's on call, you know, and in the middle of the fucking night, like 3 a.m. when you finally have time to raid, and you get a call and you have to go in and, you know, fix this guy's severed leg, you know, that's understandable.
You cut it off because he had to do LFR.
But even then, you have Group Finder, which is 24/7 looking for people to join their group to take down bosses. Like, that excuse just doesn't work anymore. We just don't need it in the game. Like, it is the equivalent of flying in the game, even though we're going to talk about that later, where you bring it in later.
I was thinking exactly the same. They've made a brave decision about flying. Maybe they're saying, look, we can only make one brave decision in expansion. You know, we'll try and use Group Finder as a method of phasing out LFR for the next expansion. Maybe they're trying something like that. They've made a brave decision with flying. We'll talk, like I said, we'll talk about that in a completely separate issue. Maybe they're saying that's the hill they're currently dying on.
Well, like, I don't really want them to get rid of it entirely as much as that, like, goes against everything I just said, but I want them to delay it significantly to the point where a lot of the content just isn't that relevant anymore. So you can still see the story and stuff if you can come in late into the game. But right now, when we're fucking recruiting people and people blazing through it in LFR, seeing everything and not joining a guild because they've done everything, like, that's not cool. That's actually going against this.
Totally, it affects. You hit a brilliant point there. It affects the recruiting process. It does affect, especially like people like me returning to raiding, people like you returning to raiding. We've got the bite. We've had the urge to get in there. We've got the guilds to do so. The guilds want to push on. And then you get the people that are like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Oh, LFR's out. Bang, seen it all. Don't have to do it now. And that is a big problem. I think they are breaking Highmaul up into 3 parts for LFR, though, aren't they? Three and a 1.
That's definitely good. Like, that to me, that's all right. Like, I don't mind it that much. I wish they'd delay it a bit more.
Yeah, but it would have been nice to see LFR out like a month after normal raiding had opened, and then the second part another month after.
Yeah, just delay it as much as you can.
Yeah,
just appease.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say you probably the raiders are probably starting Blackrock while the LFRs are finishing off Highmaul.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're seeing content. You're still getting 640 stuff. You've seen the storyline, which you so desperately crave in LFR.
Which, of course, you couldn't see on YouTube at all. That's not a thing.
It's got nothing to do with the easy, accessible loot pinatas.
Do you have another topic?
Yes, I do have one. There it is. That's the one I haven't ticked off. Is the aesthetic. The aesthetic, the complete aesthetic of Draenor is... I don't think I've seen WoW look so beautiful. And I think one of the amazing things is not only does the aesthetic look just beyond, but each zone has so much diversity within it as well. And it's just so great to see that, because you compare something like
Mm-hmm.
Spires of Arak or Gorgrond. I think Gorgrond's a brilliant example of this. Gorgrond, that you could be in like canyons, you could be in a quarry, you could be in dense forestation, you could be in hot springs. It's got so much diversity. And then you compare that with town-long steppes. That was just like town-long steppes is where you go to slit your wrist and die. It's just depressing. It's just grey, blue, green, and it's the same all across the board, and it's awful. And Dread Waste ain't much better. But it's so great to see such a vast array of diversity within zones now, and dense as well. Lots of dense foliage, lots of dense vegetation, rocks, mountains, ravines. It's just...
Especially when they're flying, it's so good.
Nice. I know. We're trying hard not to go into this flying business because of the discussion we're going to have about later. But the fact that you're experiencing this from ground level, that's a great way. We'll use that way to put it this time. To experience this at ground level, to me, just fits you into the world. And I was actually flying on a flight path into Spires of Arak last night, and all I saw was treetops. And I was just like, oh, thank fuck for no flying. Just thank God for no flying. Because when I landed, it was just like I could see it. The floor was here. I could see the tops of the trees from looking up. Not from looking down. And it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful to waste on flying, to be perfectly honest with you. And gorgeous.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in depth because I've got lots to say on the topic. But I've only got one more thing good to say about WoD, which is
that sounded horrible. I've only got one more thing
before we tear it a new butthole. Yeah. Okay. So this one I only just added before when we were kind of talking about it. Highmaul Blizzard raids are so good. Encounters are great. The fights are great. Everything about it is amazing. It is the game for me.
Yeah. To come back to raiding after so long, a gap, I haven't done any progression raiding since Cataclysm. So to come back to progressionary raiding, it's easy for me to say. To come back to progressionary raiding with the mechanics just being awesome. I mean, Tectus, God, I love that fight. Tectus on a heroic is just a joy. So much coordination, so much cooperation. I just love those C words, cooperation and coordination. Love them, the double C's. And then I think Twin Ogrons there's not huge amounts with that fight, but it's so much fun. I think the Twin Ogron fight is a really great fun fight. Bracken Spore, if you're on the bloody flamethrowers on Bracken Spore, it's like WTF, man. This is nuts.
Not just the flamethrower guys, but as a tank, I love that fight. There's so much going on. Like, you have to use active mitigation for the breaths. You have to pick up the ads. You have to make sure you're near a flower and facing them in the right direction. And like, I'm actually helping out the other tank by putting like vigilance on them every time a breath happens. Like, it's really cool. Like, you don't really get that with a lot of boss fights. Usually, it's just like tank swap done. Let's wait about 30 seconds.
Yeah, 3 stacks done. 3 stacks done. And Imperator, wow. Just wow. Margok fight is incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. And
those last two fights are amazing. No matter what role you are.
It doesn't matter. That is a beauty. That is actually a beauty because now as a DPSer, I feel a lot more responsible. Whereas before you could sort of hide a little bit as DPS. you could lose a couple of DPS here or there. Didn't really have too much effect on the outcome. Now it does. Now it does seem to significantly have an effect on the outcome. Maybe that's because we're not quite geared there, or we are actually geared to the degree of the content demands. But you lose a couple of DPS on Tectus, Nah, no chance.
Like even the first fight against the Blade Fist, like even then, if you make one mistake, if you stand in the fire, or if you stand near a tiger cage, you know, if you stand in a shit on the ground, like you're fucked. If you don't do the right thing in the stands, if you actually stand near a dude when he's about to bomb you, if you stand in front of the drunken guy, like no matter what happens, you're fucked. And that's great. That's the first fight, and everything after that is great as well. Like even on Butcher, which is like the Icy Vein strat is DPS the boss. Even on that, if you make a mistake, you're gonna fuck up your group, and everyone's gonna know.
Yeah, because the way we did Butcher is having the two groups, and then we'd have the hunters disengage out.
Mm-hmm.
When it got to 2 stacks, we'd do 2 stacks. Hunter disengages out, therefore making the second group more concentrated, and then the cleave would go onto them, the debuff would go onto them.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the tanks have to be very responsible with their switches.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the final, when he frenzies and it gets to the final phase, what we're doing is taking 4 stacks. Taking 4 stacks a group, 4 stacks a group, then we were doing a spread. And it's just so much. Even on a fight that you spend 90% of the time stood doing DPS, it just still felt awesome.
Yeah, like as a tank on the Butcher, like normal mode, you know, it's kind of face roll as a tank, but on heroic, holy crap! Like I was actually breaking out into a literal sweat when I'm trying to keep on active mitigation. Like if you make one mistake, you are dead, no matter how good your healers are, or you outgear it. But you have to be using your cooldowns at the exact right time and know exactly what you're doing and check all your talents and shit to make sure you're doing the right thing. And I love that. That's the best.
It's just such a sense. I mean, a couple of kills we got recently with Tectus heroic, Butcher heroic. Got them last night, and it's just like the best feeling. I tell you what, you know when you're having fun, it's when you don't give a shit that you didn't win anything in loot.
Yes.
You just don't care. It's not even a thought. You're not thinking, can I? You're just thinking, let's get this bastard down. Come on, get this bastard down. And it
progression.
Was just, it's just the Butcher went down, and we moved to Tectus, and the Tectus got down, and it was just like, that was a good night. That was a good night of raiding. Yeah, it's top boss, Blizz. Well done.
Yeah,
like you brought somebody back into raiding, and I'm loving it.
I mean, we might criticize a lot about WoW, but when it comes to raids and the encounters, I'm ridiculously impressed. I always have fun with them. For a long time, like they've gotten way better than vanilla and TBZ. They've gotten insane.
Well, Molten Core still has the same mechanics that it had in vanilla, doesn't it? Obviously, we've changed as players, and that system has changed dramatically. But the actual mechanics of the boss have remained the same. There ain't anything there, really, is there?
Yeah,
there's cursors.
It's kind of like as difficult as it is today, but what they factored in is the fact that getting 40 people together is a pain in the ass. 40 people that know what they're doing. And also, they made the difficulty more tedious, like rebuffing and stuff. Like that was a thing. And then they realized, wow, this really isn't that fun. So they decided to change it. And so they've adapted over time. And nowadays, I'm incredibly impressed. But the only criticism I have is that please give the last boss of a raid better rewards if we're going to be spending like 5 hours on it. And it's horribly difficult, and it's got the same rewards as everything else. Like, come on, like give us a little something extra, just like Garrosh did on heroic. I think it was heroic. And
the leap from boss 6 to boss 7 is huge.
Yeah,
it's absolutely huge. So when we actually killed Imperator the other night, it was just like, again, I wasn't particularly bothered about the gear and stuff. Would have liked the staff. I wasn't massively bothered about the gear, but you just kind of, I was quite surprised that it was still the same item level as the rest of the stuff. I thought, I thought it's going to be like 6 item levels above or something.
Yeah.
It's just going to show that little saying, hey, look, we understand the difficulty increase from the first 6 to the 7th boss, and that's reflected in the slightly better item level of this gear. But no, it's the same, which was quite surprising. But just something extra. A title at the end, or
a mount or something.
Or a man, or even a pet, or just something that just says, "Look, you did it on a tough, you know, or
you fucked this guy
done
up.
it, yeah.
Here's some bonus shit.
yeah, you're geared to how we really want this fight to be before you've outgeared him. You know, for the first 6 weeks of the expansion's life, you kill it, you get title, whatever. Even it's sort of like, and there's so many titles in Warlords of Draenor. Would it have been so bad to make another one or two? But still, even that said, that's kind of like, to be honest with you, I think that's kind of a little bit not grumbling for the sake of grumbling, but it's sort of like minor gripe.
Yeah, it's like, hey, here's some constructive criticism, but the rest of what you do is amazing, and we love it. Yeah,
it's absolutely. But don't stop.
Yes.
For the love of God, do not stop doing what you've done so far, because it's been awesome.
Alright, I think we finished our 1 minute video.
Yeah, 53 minutes long.